Get them fired up and get them to the staging lanes, baby, because 8th Mile Apparel is now carrying Glowing Bracket Racing merch. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more can be yours today by visiting 8thmileapparel.com. We appreciate each and every one of you guys supporting the Glowing Bracket Racing YouTube and Facebook pages.
What's up, everybody? Casey and George, March 4th, 2025, episode 187 of the Glowing Bracket Racing Live podcast that you can see on YouTube. You can see it on Facebook, 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central, every single Tuesday. And, of course, on Fridays, it comes out on Spotify. Subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or just look at it on Spotify if that's where it's at anyway. But that being said, we got to thank the people who keep this for free for you every single week, starting with TSR Racing Products. Get your Power Glides, Turbo 350s, 400s, 727s in order for the new year. Might be starting racing here any day now. Hopefully, we're all getting out to the track here this weekend, next weekend, something like that. I know Flicker Promotions getting ready to do something that we're going to talk about here in a second. BRG 3D printed parts, anything you need, Brian Garrett will print it up for you. High density polymers and plastics, all those custom parts that you need for your custom things you got on your race car. BRG 3D printed parts is who you need to call. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas, got some new stickers coming from him over there at Syntex Printing any minute now. Stickers, shirts, brochures, etc. Of course, Driven Racing Oil, use code GBR10. Get yourself 10% off your order, no limit on it. Get oil for your engine, get that transmission fluid, get the rear end oil, get the oil for the truck you tow with, and even cleaning products, especially a Speed Clean. You're going to let that trailer sit under a tree this summer. We know y'all are. Get some of that Speed Clean. It'll make it look as good as you can possibly make it. GBR10, get yourself 10% off your order. Proform Parts, visit proformparts.com for your shop tools, carburetors, starters, alternators, radiators, accessories, and much, much more. Always kind of new stuff coming out over there at proformparts.com. Crew Chief Pro Software. Want to send our well wishes over there to Don Higgins because I guess he had some sort of freak accident thinking he's got a rotator cuff torn. But he was saying if anybody needs an entry over there at Gainesville, he might be giving his up. So any of you super comp racers out there that need an entry, contact Don Higgins, but most importantly, contact Don about that Crew Chief Pro software at crewchiefpro.com. Get those dial-ins in order, get those throttle stop predictions in order. And of course, Gearhead Solutions, our newest partner on here, great customer service and access to over 1,000 vendors. Get the parts when you need them at gearheadsolutions.com. Hopefully you got them already, but if not, call Trevor over there at Gearhead Solutions and he'll hook you up. And of course, you want to get some GBR merch looking good at the racetrack. 8thmileapparel.com. That's where you get all your hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and all kinds of stuff that they come out with over there. George, what's new, man? Is it windy at your house? Because it's windy at mine.
Yeah, man. Wind blowing, shoot. I want to say wind might be up around the 70-mile-an-hour mark around here. Like I said before we got on this bad boy, it looked like there was a dust storm out there. So every ounce of where I was orange looking, and the sun wasn't even out. You know what I mean? It was cloudy and orange. Anyway, I'm sure that was dust but yeah, windy. We had some pretty gnarly storms come through here last night. Hope everybody's safe down there south of me. I know there's a couple confirmed tornadoes on the ground, kind of overnight there. It's the scariest ones you really deal with. Them 5 a.m., 4 a.m. Everybody's knocked out. Well, I set an alarm clock just because I knew it was coming. So I'm a little bit tired myself. Got a little energy drink in here. It might help me out, but yeah, man, it's windy out there, needless to say.
Hopefully everything's not getting sandblasted. That's the worst about that whole deal is your truck's out there in the driveway getting sandblasted.
Yeah, man. It's a tank. You know, I got that 2000 F350, that good American-made steel that I got going on out there. You know, so hopefully it can handle it. I call that thing the Great White Whale after Moby Dick. Thank you very much. So, nah, man, not much going on around here though, man. I'm getting real excited. I'm getting pumped. I'm sure everybody else is too, because 2025 bracket racing season is underway. And we got a lot to talk about, I think, Casey, bro. And I kind of do the best I can to recap what went down, Guaranteed America, Great American bracket races this past weekend. Didn't get a chance to watch it, and I'm sure a lot of you wanted to watch it. And the only thing I got to watch was Mitch Cleary, and I think I saw a split of one of the races there. I can't remember all the information in it, but what I saw was some pretty good racing. I seen a lot of zeros pop on that scoreboard out of Kyle Cotrera. Perfect, perfect on the light, perfect on the run. Hey, his
And his
opponent,
competitor was perfect too.
his competitor. Check this. I do remember this part. His competitor was perfect, one above zero at 140 mile an hour. I think he was dialed like 461 or 2 or something. So we know he was trying to back something up into Cotrera, thinking, hey, I know I crushed that tree. Only to get that ticket and see a perfect lap right next to him. Like 10 totals going home, Casey. Already.
A 4-0 is perfect too. It
Yeah.
wasn't a 3-0s, it was a 4-0s.
Both of them were quad zeros, right? So, and then not to mention, Cotrera was dead on zero with another zero behind that. Like there's all zeros on that ticket. So, man, that's a way to start the season off right there, dude.
Check this out. The quad zero perfect run, the ability to do that. So it's a 1 in a million chance that you can have to the 1,000th 3-0s perfect run. It's 1 in 100 million to have quads. So I mean, it's just I don't know how many of those there have ever been, but I mean, I can't imagine there probably haven't been more than 10 of them ever happened.
Right, man.
So, but it's fitting that, go figure, Kyle Cotrera would have one, you know?
Yeah, no. As we recap that, we might as well just go ahead. I got the list here somewhere though, and again, this is just coming straight off the website there. Looked like Gulfport was hooking up pretty good. It's just one of those destinations. Number one, I don't think I've ever even seen that track on a live stream. I know you mentioned you might have watched it on something or another back in the day, or have seen it once or twice, but seemingly they had everything running good out there. And starting off, it looks like there was some shootouts going on, and our old Texas boy is already in the winner's circle. Ty Farmer drove into the winner's circle of that one, and Wes Neely also did too. And I'm guessing they won entries into the 500K, if I read that right, which is pretty awesome. Of course, Friday, Quad Zeros himself, Kyle Cotrera, takes home 40K. Way to start off the season. That's all I know. And somebody make sure you don't let him get too big a head of steam going all season. We're going to be in a lot of trouble all year long. Kyle Cotrera is one of those people who can get on us real fast, guys. So somebody light up Quad Zeros, dead zero on him. He needs some payback after that one. But J.R. Barclay takes that 100-grander. And Matt Richard on Sunday. Something in case we talk about a little bit more as we get off into the show if it comes back around. But man, we already seen somebody race himself in the finals of a pretty prestigious race, is what I would call it. A great warm up to the 2025 season, as it's, I do believe, the first big money bracket race all year long. To run yourself in the final, I don't care if it's a warm up or not. That's saying something right there, bro.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it's hard enough to be the best in the day. It's hard enough to be the second best at the same time. Being the best and the second best, not to mention the way that it all works out. What a lot of people don't realize is once it comes down to the ladder rounds, like sometimes you just have to run yourself the way the ladder works out. So there's a lot of factors that go into actually running yourself in a final. It's not as, I mean, not that anything about running yourself in a final is easy, but it's not as easy for even the math to work out to where you can get that far.
Right. So, no, man, good job. That's all I got, man. I think I'd heard Richard's name once or twice before, probably more than that. I feel like he might be out of Louisiana somewhere, if I'm not wrong. But don't quote me, guys. Good job to you. Also, we got to watch a father-son race, and well, we didn't get to watch it, but we get to hear about it. Father versus son in a 32-car shootout. That's pretty neat too, man. So off to a good start, as we have already said.
Caden Ratcliffe over here in the YouTube chat saying, "Do we know who Tim Pace is?" I haven't heard of him. Tell me who he is. Tell me why we should know about him, and we'll talk about it right now.
Right now,
Speaking of Louisiana, man, the race that we can finally watch on Motor Mania this weekend is Flicker Promotions race over there. Of course, in my opinion, and I know George has lots of opinions on here, guys, but this is my opinion. It's Casey's opinion this time. The best hands down points program going right now. Paying I think last year they paid 20 spots. Now we're paying 22 spots. So, I mean, 22, man, like that's a lot of places that it's getting real close to the point where if you just participate in all three events, that you're right there, you're going to get something type thing. If they get to the point where they're paying back 30 spots, it's legitimately to the point where if you just do reasonably okay, you can get 30 event points,
Man, Casey, that's it. And again, dude, I think we kind of highlighted this last year when Flicker I want to say Flicker really bursted onto the scenes last year, because I feel like this is the second time that they've put on a point series of this magnitude. As I slide it on the screen right here. There it is right there. Check it out. Man, the flyer number one speaks for itself. We're going to be warming up on Thursday. Looks like a Racers Appreciation Testing Tune with some warm up going on there, if I'm not looking at that wrong. Then on Friday, we starting off with a 10K. And $100 round money on that bad boy, sponsored by Burleson Construction. Y'all know how I feel about old Burleson Construction, Texas boys. But then after that, we got two 20s. Saturday and Sunday, twin 20s coming at you live. So definitely something we get a shot to watch. Number one on Motor Mania TV. That way all of us can get our itch, our fill, scratch an itch that we all had all winter long to get back to watching some bracket racing. But to go along with that, Casey, man, and as you guys see on the screen, those giveaways are something else. Number one in points is getting that Ezel chassis race car. I believe it's a stage 1 dragster. You see it's worth 20 grand, I believe I see there. But if you can see it all the way down the line, things like Pro 1, got some Titan equipment in there, Mosier's in there, Giddim's in there, Lindsay Racing Wheel Products is in there, RBZ Billets in there. And the one thing I didn't notice before is looks like Hippie's going to give $750 off to the door car that finishes the best in points. So that I feel like that's something new. Casey, do you remember that one?
I'm not sure. He's from out here though, and does very high quality stainless headers. Everybody runs them out here. So I mean, his personal race car is super nice too. So you're obviously gonna get what you're looking at. I'll tell you what I'm looking at in here too is these Mosier 40 spline center section and 40 spline axles, man, because I can tell you those aren't cheap from experience. Yeah. So there's just tons of stuff, man. Competitive suspensions in there, APD carburetor in there. I mean, nothing in here is like cheap stuff.
No.
So that's what's cool about it, is that all of these prizes for the most part are worth over $1,000, and then getting up into depending on which area, which tier you get in, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 worth of stuff. I mean, it's they've reached out and they've done their homework to make this a great racing series. Obviously, Ryan Gleghorn will be on the mic for all that stuff. So one of the best announcers in the game going to be on there. It's going to be a great event to watch on Motor Mania TV this weekend.
This weekend for sure. I'm gonna be driving down the road and trying my best not to take my eyes off the road, but it'll definitely be on my YouTube. You know what I mean? While I'm headed up to Illinois, so definitely something I'll be tuned into. But that ain't it, guys, because it's coming. It's coming in full circle. April will get here as fast as we can blink. Especially how fast we're already in March right now. It's the 4th. So if you haven't paid your rent, you better get on up to the wherever you need to pay it. We're already March 4th, but CP's coming on the scene with his Racers Appreciation Bash, which I believe is the third annual and likely a birthday bash, if I'm not wrong here, April 10th through the 13th. 4 days of $10,000 racing on a track that's going to be prepped by Mass Traction out there at State Capitol Raceway again this year. Will be brought to you live on the Going Bracket Racing YouTube channel. I do believe we'll have something going on Cody Pelage Racing Promotions Facebook page as well. I think he's trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on CPRP YouTube channel, I do believe. So eventually you'll see some racing live on his YouTube channel as well. But definitely lots going on here. Invitational top and bottom race, I do believe, is going on of the South Invitational. So you're going to get a chance to watch some racers that were brought here by invitation only to compete for some of that money. Top and bottom over there, going on there, and man, can't go wrong with some CP. One thing I'm going to tell you is the food's going to be great. Food is always good there, and I can't wait to get me some crawfish. That's all I got to say.
The thing I like looking at these CP flyers is $100 a day to run 10 grand each day in top and bottom bulb. So that's, I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that. I mean, typically, realistically out here by me, North Carolina, South Carolina area, we run for some of the best deals on a weekly basis. $100 for 5 grand, $100 for 10 grand. I mean, come on, what more do you want?
Right, man. Right, and the other thing I'm going to point out real fast is the fact that top and bottom, generally you'd see, for the most part these days, unless you're out there, the King of the Coast, I believe, out there at Gulfport, which is coming up soon too, I believe March 14th. Don't get me lying. Check out Galen Rollison's page. I know he had that flyer up, but one thing I noticed that's really awesome is top bulb is paying 10 grand, bottom bulb is paying 10 grand. It's not a move into the race and all this other, the way this looks on the schedule is everybody getting 10 grand around here. So if you're in the area, guys, and I say this quite a bit, there's no reason you shouldn't be at State Capitol April 10th through the 13th. Come on out, let's have some fun. I'll see you there, basically.
Yep. My computer screen's flickering over here again. But anyway, Maurice Hall, that kind of leads into what we're getting ready to talk about next, actually. But Maurice Hall says, has anyone heard how the guy wrecked at Galot on Saturday, how he's doing? I've seen on Facebook that he is doing well. I think he might have had a neck injury, which is obviously the worst thing you can possibly have. But they said he's doing well. He's walking around and everything. So hopefully everything's well with that. It was not, for those of you speculating, it was not a excessive braking issue. We've talked about it with a bunch of people. The guy who crashed it, he doesn't drive like that anyway. It's, as far as everybody can tell, it was just a freak accident where the diagonal link, they think the diagonal link broke in the 4-link, which keeps your rear end from going like this. So obviously if that link breaks, the tire can go over here. It turned this way. So the tire went over here, in my mind, locked up on the fender and just turned the car immediately. Because, I mean, it went directly over. Luckily, the Cobalt was faster than the Mustang he was running, because he went right across in front of the Mustang, avoided him and everything, as far as I'm aware. So as far as things going bad, they went well, or as good as they could be.
Yeah.
But one of the things that George and I started talking about that, again, a neck injury, should a Hans device just be mandatory at this point? Because they already make junior racers wear them, so they're used to wearing them all the time anyway. NHRA finally made a rule that made sense, which was after 150 miles an hour, you have to wear one. Doesn't matter if you're going 150 in the quarter or 150 in the eighth. That's the first time they've made a rule that made sense as far as the stipulations on it, in my mind. But what do you think, George? Do you think Hans devices should just be required at this point?
And and I definitely have already looked at Gearhead Solutions at the deal he's got going on over there. I want to say it was either 10 or 15% off of those devices that's going on right now. I definitely am going to venture my way that direction, just for the simple fact of that added layer of safety. We know what's going on when we strap ourselves into those cars, and we never want to see anything like what we saw out at Galat. Speedy recovery. I believe his last name is Brown. There, speedy recovery to you, and hope to see you back out there one day here real soon, Casey. But to answer your question, definitely something I've thought about pretty strongly there. And I know the one thing that us bracket racers seem to talk about quite a bit when we talk about Hans devices or anything hybrids, Simpson, whatever you want to call it, is the ability to race, look at your opponent, find them comfortably, and still compete the way you like to compete. So, not saying that that's my thought process in getting one, because hey, man, if I just gotta hold it to the floor in order and stay safe that way, then so be it. You know what I mean? But what are your thoughts on that, Casey? Because every time it seems like this conversation comes up, all I ever hear is how restrictive it is, and as a bracket racer, it's kind of more of a hindrance. What are your thoughts? I've never wore one, so I can't really speak on that.
It's just something to get used to. I mean, I started wearing one last year. Obviously, now that I got faster stuff, I'm required to and whatnot. I started wearing one, and it is something to get used to. Whenever I first started messing with it, I don't know anybody. I live in the South. There's nobody. People don't really abide like they should a lot of times, which to each his own. I'm not saying they should. That's their own problem. But it is weird to get used to, but then once you finally get used to it, it's not any different than pulling your seatbelts tight, really. I mean, you can still look to the side. It doesn't make it where you can only look straight forward, and most of us got peripheral vision anyway. And I mean, there's just the main thing is people don't want to be told what to do, and I understand that. I'm the last person. I'm the number one guy that says, do whatever you want as long as it doesn't affect me or my family negatively. Do what you want. I don't care. But ultimately, at the same time, that being said, the whole reason that the Hans deal got started was because Dale Earnhardt died. And there's a whole lot of evidence to show that he would not be dead, at least in that crash, if he was wearing a head and neck restraint. So ultimately, it is safer. They don't really cost that much. You can find them used reasonably often. But like I said, if they're making junior dragster kids wear them, then that's all they've ever known. So why don't we just keep them wearing them?
Yeah, I think that makes sense too. I feel like kind of the reasoning behind the junior dragsters wearing a Hans device could be the potential that the car is just that small. You know what I mean? I don't know if that plays a factor into the thing, so I'm asking you. Maybe you have a little bit more knowledge, or maybe someone in the chat may have a little more knowledge on why that rule was created for the youngsters and then didn't reciprocate across the board to other drivers in other classes. But I've always wondered why they're required to wear a Hans, and just wondering if it's the size of the car itself.
Well, number one, I don't know about the whole size of the car and things like that. But number one is if you get a kid starting wearing their stuff, then they won't know any different. They're just going to keep on wearing it in theory. So maybe it just keeps them wearing their safety equipment as they get into big cars. But second of all, a lot of people don't realize this, that a neck brace is actually not in any way supporting your neck. That foam just compresses and stuff, and in a wreck, it doesn't do anything to help your neck from getting broken. What that's actually for is if your car catches on fire, the fire can't go up your helmet. That's actually what that's for, and a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
That's why also NHRA's rule is if you have a skirted helmet, you don't have to have a neck brace. Anybody ever wonder about that? That's why, because that helmet skirt isn't going to obviously support your neck. That's why, is because now you have another way that or like a head sock or something, the fire can't go up your helmet or whatever. But that's all that neck brace is for. That neck brace isn't for helping you in any event of a crash.
I never knew that myself, to be honest. Hey, to each his own who decide not to wear that brace too. But again, it goes back to the age-old conversation that we've had over and over and over again in this sport about, well, if you don't have it on, who's going to tell you have to put it on in the first place? So either way it goes, Casey, and we can jump on this if we want to, kind of coming out of commercial break, as we're going to head that way here in just a little bit. But either way it goes, we can have all the devices we want. It's all about us putting them on. And Tex Griffiths is over here on the Facebook side saying it's a way to be proactive in our race cars. It says it may not be effective in the street strip classes and things of that nature that kind of still have factory seats. But he's talking about he still has a factory bench in his satellite, even if it got a 5-point cage on it, or roll bar. So, I mean, I understand what he means there. And maybe that could be the issue in itself to why they haven't mandated everybody to do it. I don't have the 100% answer. I'm not NHRA brass to where I make that decision, if that makes sense. So, but hang in there, guys, because we're going to take a quick second to give some words to our marketing partners. Let them speak to you for a second. We'll come back with more here on Going Bracket Racing. Don't go anywhere. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the share button and get excited about 2025 because it is here. No more bench racing, fellas. See you in a second.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top-selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177.
Innovation never sleeps at Proform, and we're making our popular Black Race Series carburetors even better by adding new features that will set them apart from the competition. Some of the newest features include a newly designed main body with contoured Venturas for better airflow and a new inside and outside two-step down leg boosters for increased atomization and better throttle response. Also, newly designed fuel bowls with increased internal baffling for better fuel control and a lower fuel ramp for reduced turbulence. There are also some new upgrades to point out. The fuel bowls now both include nitrofill floats, and the throttle base plate now has slab shafts for better airflow. These new features, combined with the fully adjustable high-flow main body with screw-in air bleeds, billet metering blocks, high-performance billet throttle base plate, and aluminum fuel bowls with sight glass windows, makes for a great street strip carburetor that packs a punch. Here's the skinny on the Proform Slim Fit radiator systems. They are the industry's first and only 4-inch thick radiator system. That's the radiator plus the shroud plus the fan combined. A complete unit that's up to 40% thinner than others on the market. Fully assembled for performance out of the box. Eliminate the stress and frustration that comes as precious weekend hours are lost trying to upgrade your cooling system with major space constraints. The Slim Fit system utilizes 2 patented pieces of technology, allowing for a seamlessly integrated radiator system with a third tank in the center of the radiator where the high-performance fan motor is installed inside the core, not hanging off the shroud. The coolant can flow all the way through the radiator, eliminating dead space. And it looks especially great under the hood. Sleek angles, eye-catching perforations, and a smooth aluminum shroud complete the streamlined 4-corner design that defines style and a well-put-together engine bay.
Welcome back. Going Bracket Racing's here, another episode. Thanks to the GBR community. You guys have kept us moving all this time, man. We appreciate you more than you know. Thank you for being part of the stream. Thanks for your comments into the chat. We're going to get to those here in just a second. Maybe to talk a little bit about more stuff that we love doing. That's bracket racing, baby. This can't be done without our marketing partners over there, Crew Chief Pro. Like Casey said, speedy recovery or rotator cuff surgery, man. I know, just based on what I do for a living, that's going to be kind of nagging. So hang in there. We'll be praying for you on a speedy recovery. But head over there and check out Crew Chief Pro software. The weather stations. I'm going to be adding. I never had the wind meter on mine. I'm going to add that to my group or to my setup this year. So if you're looking, I know a lot of people going super comp racing. You're gonna need some Crew Chief Pro while you're doing it. So look no further for the best way to kind of guesstimate what you need to do on that throttle stop. Crew Chief Pro do that for you. So Driven Racing Oil out there. GBR10, get you 10% off. Thanks for being on board with GBR. Proform Parts, BRG Motorsports, 3D printed parts, Team 14 Motorsports, 8th Mile Apparel, Gearhead Solutions, TSR Racing Products, Ken Jones Racing Performance, and Syntex Printing. Thank you guys for being part of Going Bracket Racing. If you'd like to join the marketing partnership with GBR, feel free to get a hold of Casey or myself at goingbracketracing@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook. Throw a rock at my window. I'm just kidding. I'll get back to you one way or the other, guys, and we will give you the best customer service possible. So, Casey, man, as we're coming out of this commercial break here, and the GBR community's loud and proud over there on the YouTube side, man. So we got a couple of things we can kind of talk about if you want to pull one of those off that side of the stream.
Yeah, kind of going into just kind of the safety aspect that we were talking about. We got Bracket Racer 9622 says if you can afford to run top ET, then you can afford a Hans just like your 2-year belts. Tom Worthington's talking about a 760 car in response to that. A 760 car in the 8th mile basically shouldn't have to wear a Hans. And then Old Racer is in here saying the way people are driving so aggressive at the stripe anymore, you never know if you'll get hit by your opponent, and it's better to be safe. All good points in there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the mile per hour rule, that was what I was initially talking about, the 150 mile an hour rule. You know, there would obviously need to be a limit because at a certain point, obviously a street car, you have to have some special, I know they make some sort of Hans for a street car for the road race guys for like Miatas and stuff. But the way mine works is you actually, it's the one you wear like a backpack and then you strap it down in your lap belts. The other one goes over your shoulders and then your 5-point harness, or 6-point now, if you have top sportsman or top dragster cars, pulls it all down. So yeah, in certain scenarios, obviously it would be unnecessary in my mind, not to mention a more street style car, especially something with side curtain airbags. That's about as safe as a race car anyway. There's a reason why NHRA actually made a chassis rule where these new Camaros and Mustangs and stuff with the blowers, the Copo cars, they actually, I don't know if the Copo cars have the side curtain airbags or whatever, but the fast Mustangs and Chargers and stuff that you can buy and drive down the road and stuff now, those cars, they gave them a certain leeway on their cage requirement because those cars are made to go barrel rolling down the interstate, you know?
That's actually an interesting point too. And the more I think about what you just said, that could be the kind of decision maker on who needs to have it and who doesn't. If your car doesn't have airbags, you probably need to have a Hans device. Maybe, I don't know, because let's be honest. Just like you said, the Copos and what are the Mustangs? Cobra Jets, all those cars, Demons, whatever you want to call it. Them jokers dang fast, okay? So, man,
there's one, there's a purple one that runs at Kinston that you'll see. He'll run foot brake and he'll be dialed 650s. Tom Worthington probably knows who I'm talking about, I'm sure. Right. Goes like 650s or something. I've seen him pull out of Kinston with 649 on the window and driving home. He said it makes like 835 horsepower or something.
Gee whiz.
So, yeah, I mean, those things are no joke. In fact, it'll be interesting to see those motors go make their way into some chassis cars and stuff one day, because those things are going to go 530s without even trying.
And at the same time, you made a good point about the street cars, how their belts work. Only neck restraint kind of hybrid Simpson, Hans, whatever you want to call it, that I've seen They are you wear them like a backpack, and then the shoulder belts come down and you kind of strap in that way. And I don't think you can do that with just a regular car seatbelt. Maybe we're helping them. Maybe they can create another slot that goes across the chest and then goes across somehow. Or
They
we
make
can,
one
you
for
know, we
road
could have
race
two
guys.
seatbelts or something. I don't know. You know, they do.
They make one for road race guys that works with their system. But I mean, I do agree with Tom to an extent as far as, you know, there's got to be a line somewhere. And I don't know what that line would be. I don't know what the mile an hour range. It needs to be by mile an hour though. But again, like Old Racer's saying in here, what if somebody else runs into you? But I
Yeah.
mean, that's just you can't make racing is not safe. It's just not. You know, it's to an extent, everything about it's dangerous, and you know what you're getting into whenever you get in the car, and it's your own responsibility to be as safe as you can be for yourself. Whatever you're comfortable with, you know, you're the one that's going to end up, you know, sometimes it's not your fault. You know, a lot of times, you know, luckily a lot of times it's a single car event, but you're the only one that can control your safety inside the car.
Yeah, I see Brandon Justice is just chiming in here. He's basically saying what you just said, man. At 150 mile an hour, you definitely should have something, some type of a neck restraint. Dragsters and door cars alike. That's a great comment in my opinion. And I don't know if Casey. I feel like we might have asked this. I might have asked you this question a couple weeks back, a couple months back. You know, whatever the case may be. We have IHRA, we have NHRA, we have WDRA, we have all these different sanctioning bodies. Are we all following the same rule set? I feel like we are. Maybe you might know a little bit better than me on that light.
Mostly everything's the same as far as safety goes. The big change used to be that IHRA didn't require you to have chassis certification until you go 599. And that was a big deal because, you know, NHRA, it's 639 or 49. I can't remember.
It's 39. Yep.
And it's not hard to get to 639 with a purpose-built race car, but it is harder to get to 599. So there's the thing I never liked about it more than anything was, again, it's based on ET, and I don't remember what the ET was to correlate to that. I want to say it's 999 or something in the quarter. But how come? Let's just say it is. How come I can go, say, 135 mile an hour in the Nova because it's slow, whatever it will go, 130 or whatever. Why is that car legal in the quarter mile without a chassis cert, but in the eighth mile it wouldn't be? How does that make any sense, even though in the eighth mile it might only go like 105? Mm-hmm. So that just doesn't make sense. It should be a cage cert for 135, period. And it should, because your car is not safer just because it's running quarter mile versus eighth mile.
Here's another one for you, Casey, and thanks, Brandon Justice, for saying this, man. This is where I was going to go too, but he's making a real good point right here. We got a lot of racers in the eighth mile, or let's just stay at the eighth mile here. I know it's happening on the quarter as well for especially in Super Comp, Super Gas, and all these other classes, right? But we've got racers out there who are capable of holding so many numbers, okay, that they are under 150, even though their car is capable of 150 every single rip. Case in point, I bet you Corey Coletti could probably run 447 at 140 something. You know what I mean? You and I both know that car is more than capable of going 155 mile an hour, and I feel like I'm shooting it low. So policing this is not going to be the easiest thing as we talk about it. This is going to end up, and I think this is probably why the rule is the way it is. It's personal preference here, I feel like. But I feel like they need to also kind of step it up a little bit more, make it a little bit more, more restrictive. That's what I got, man. That's what I
don't know. I mean, like I said, the NHRA rule for this year going forward is anything over 150, you're supposed to have a Hans. People can do whatever they want with it, but that's what you're supposed to be doing. That's all I can say.
Right. Here nor there, man. I saw something on the internet that kind of a little bit off topic, kind of on topic at the same time. Did somebody acquire a track out somewhere in Ohio, Casey?
Oh, yeah. IHRA bought Dragway 42 this weekend, I think, for those of you who don't know, and I believe it's in Akron, Ohio. It's a quarter-mile track. I was looking at stats on the internet here. I measured it on Google Earth, and obviously that's only going to be so accurate. You're measuring it from a satellite view, but on their website, it says that they have like 2,800 foot of shutdown. It's a quarter-mile facility, so 2,800 feet after that, and then a 400-foot gravel pit after that. So if that's true, then that's over a half-mile shutdown. So the rule of thumb is always whenever you speed up, you want twice as much to slow down. So in that case, I would think that means that one of their national events is obviously going to be there. They own it.
They own it. They own it. Now, out goes track rental, out goes all that stuff. You know what I mean? Definitely, I feel like you're spot on with that comment. They're going to have one of their professional series. I think it's called Nitro Jam. I'm not 100% sure, but they're going to have one there, Casey. So pretty cool, man. You'd leave it to an architect to go to Google Earth and start measuring stuff. Okay,
Well,
your CAD skills.
Well, the thing is that the Google Earth view was, I'm coming up with like 2050 till the gravel track. So, I mean, it's usually not that far off. Like it might be like 10 or 20 feet off, but it's not going to be 800 feet off. So maybe they've done something different since the satellite flew over. Cause I mean, that's, they might only take the picture of that every few years or whatever. So, but it does say on their website, 2,800 feet of shutdown. Obviously, there's people who listen to the show that are from that area and probably race at that track. So the same management is going to be running the facility. It's just got new ownership now. So everything essentially should stay the same, except for I would say it's extremely likely that there will be one of the national events for IHRA in 2026, or maybe, I mean, if they've acquired it already, they might have one there this year, like a Night of Fire deal.
Sure. I feel like that track, I've seen it on the internet more than once on Motor Mania. And when you come out of the staging lanes, it's like a downhill coast, I think. And it all comes downhill into the track. If I'm right, I could be wrong there, but I'm trying to get my mind on that track. I know I've seen it before. So anybody can help me there. If you've been racing at Dragway 42, fill me in on if I'm talking about the same track. I feel like it's kind of got the stands up, kind of standing up and then looking down into the track, which is pretty neat.
Is Dragway 42 the track that Tyler Bohannon manages?
No, I don't think so. I don't think. I feel like he's somewhere. I don't know, man. Don't get me lying.
I can't remember.
Ask Tebow, but I just don't think it's Dragway 42. Anyway, there's another question for the day. As you can tell, guys, we come off the dome with a whole lot of going bracket racing, and sometimes we pick on you guys to help us answer these questions. But yeah, man, that's pretty neat that IHRA purchased a track like that. I thought it was gonna be Memphis. That's something they would purchase, but you can tell this guy's in it to win it if he's owning tracks now too. So that's a good thing.
Yep. So there'll definitely be at least one event facility for sure this coming season or whatever. So, so they're still working on stuff over there at IHRA. Obviously, things are moving forward because, like you said, he went all in.
Almost feel like they moved the headquarters to. They moved the headquarters somewhere too. I want to say.
I think it's in I think it's in Ohio, unless they moved it again. But Scott Purley's saying in the YouTube chat, IHRA said today they have a big announcement on Thursday. So that would be 2 days from now. IHRA should be having some sort of big announcement. So we'll see what it is. We know last time the announcement never came, or it did, and it was no big deal. But I think obviously things that are moving in the right direction over there, like, we've said 15 times now, IHRA acquiring tracks is obviously going to be something that's going to push their organization forward. Hope for the best.
Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. Well, guys, we came in with the best of a conversation as we could for today. And the beautiful thing about it all is 2025 is in motion. We could highlight real fast, Casey. I heard it was packed, and we're gonna do it probably on the next stream to talk about the next couple of races. But is this going to be a good temperature check from top 3 promoter in our sport right now? That's hands down. I don't think that anybody would argue with me, and I'm not gonna Nova fan you. That's not an opinion. That's what is fact. In I'm not gonna say in my opinion, but what do you think, Casey? Was that a pretty good temperature check? Couldn't see it online, right? I didn't get a car count or any of that stuff, but I heard just by hearsay that place was packed.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, Britt and Galen do a great job down there. Tommy, they all do a great job down there. There's been nothing but good things to be said about Gulfport ever since they've taken over the lease for it. I want to say they even race on Tuesdays there or whatever. They do all kinds of stuff out there. But yeah, they're doing a great job down there. It doesn't surprise me at all. Two of the best promoters in the game putting on a great race. Who would have thought? But I think as far as temperature check goes, I still go back to what I've always said ever since kind of the inception of this show, which is the Spring Fling Vegas is always kind of what I determine how the year is going to be as far as participation rates and how excited people get. And typically that's where you see your breakout star for the year. It just so happens to be at the Spring Fling in Las Vegas in particular. So I'm always waiting for that. Obviously, about a month from now, we'll know what's going on with that whole deal. But obviously, it's looking up. It's everything's looking up already. So sold out crowd is always what you're looking for. I wish I could have seen it on TV though.
Yeah, me too. Hey, me too. You guys ever need some streaming? If you couldn't find nobody, all you had to do was dial my number. I'd have come out there and streamed it for you. I know I saw a lot of guys kind of looking for a live stream, and thanks to Mitch Cleary and some of the other guys out there for going live and even giving us the little taste of what we got to watch. You know what I mean? So, definitely, I heard that was a great event, and it paid $100,000, so it can't get much better than that. Go ahead.
This is something that we need to bring up real quick before we end the show here. Brandon Justice, I'm glad he reminded me of this because Spring Fling this year is only allowing doubles with a door car and a dragster. So you have to run one of each. So like you would have to say, I own a dragster and you own a door car. We can double those, but we couldn't double if we had our own car. So what are your thoughts on that? I think that's pretty interesting because you typically see different driving styles in a car versus a dragster.
Yeah. Let's see what happens, I guess, man. You know, I hadn't really given that much thought. And I know Brandon Justice's feel for it. He says it's tragic. And there might probably be quite a few others who feel the same way. You know, you drive all that way, you want to enter your race car twice. If you're driving that far, most everybody's entering twice anyway. I don't really necessarily think anybody drives that far to enter once, right? But at the same time, I think it evens the playing field a little bit. It makes drivers who are used to driving their dragster jump in a door car if they want to double. And we've talked about this quite a bit, Casey. There's just one driver in particular that I'm waiting to see win indoors and in a door car. And if he does it, he's gonna be real close to getting called GOAT by me, man. But I'm not gonna even mention it. And if it happens, I'm gonna come back and say that's the guy that I was looking for. That's not fair. Corey Glitti, I'm talking about you, brother. And I think we brought it up on the show, and he's like, I got a door car now too. So I guess that's not gonna impact him because he'll be able to take his dragster and a door car down there to the Spring Fling. So
he's won. I think he won like a 20 grander in Virginia or Georgia or something in that black truck.
But you know, we talking about winning a big boy. And 20, listen to me saying 20 ain't a big boy. You know what I mean? But I guess that's what happens when us bracket racers are spoiled with 100 granders 4, 5, 6 times a year, if not more than that, and $1 million here and a 500 grand there. And I mean, 20 grand don't sound like much.
It sounds like a lot to me. I'd be happy with it.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I knew you were going there.
I think that it's interesting more than anything because you don't get 2 runs in the same car, so you don't get hits at the tree in the same type of car. They don't stage the same. Chances are a lot of these guys are going to be driving a small block door car and a big block dragster. They don't carry the speed the same. You can't pedal them the same because they'll give up a whole lot more in one versus the other. I just think that it's going to be interesting, and I think rules like that make it to where when we get down to 16 cars, we're a lot of times used to seeing, let's say 32 cars. 32 cars, you can usually pick probably 10 people on the big money scale who are going to be in there, and a few of them might still be in it twice. It seems like when they put in rules like this, you don't really see that same crowd in there all the time, because we all know there are some people that always win in the dragster. There are some people that always win in the door car. I mean, the two best crossover drivers are Jeff Serra and Gary Williams. I mean, those guys can drive anything. Scotty Richardson, he could always drive anything. There are very few people that can do what they can do in a dragster and a door car, or vice versa. Honestly, Gage Birch, I haven't seen Gage Birch win in a dragster. He wins every single thing in a door car.
Yeah,
I'm sure he has.
It's a fact, and that's Casey, man. Those are the two that I'm watching closely for that conversation. One of them has to win in opposites. If Gage Birch jumps into a dragster and wipes the map with everybody, that's saying something, dude. You know, I've only ever seen him win in a door car. I never got to see him win in his junior dragster. Now I know he won quite a bit in that thing, but I never got to see it. But Brandon Justice over here says something funny. I'm reading. He says, what did he say? He said his race car is like his wife. Not sure he wants another man driving it. That's pretty funny. I'm sorry if that was inappropriate, but I got a good laugh out of that.
But right. Yeah, gonna be interesting, man. I just look forward to the spring fling, but I'm glad that Flicker's going to be live on Motor Mania this weekend. Going to be something to watch. That's going to be a good thing. Hopefully I get to go get the Chevelle this weekend. Then I'll have it back in my garage. Maybe be able to do some testing next week. It's supposed to be, if the weather holds out, it's supposed to be pretty nice. So I'm ready to get going on my own program.
Yeah, man. You got any predictions?
I don't even know what to predict, to be honest with you. I've changed so much stuff on it. It's just, I know what it did previously, but then I was thinking that, well, it was on rev limiter, so I was maxing the blower out, so maybe it's this, but then the converter was so loose and it was blowing through it, so I wasn't putting the power down, and then it hit the rev limiter in 4 seconds, and there's just too many variables going on. It's going to run what it's going to run. I mean, we'll see. It really doesn't have, I'm just hoping that the motor makes it through this year, and then I can beef it up and make it where it's, I'm kind of at the limit of my internals right now, really, with what I'm doing. I could push it harder, not a lot harder, but I could push it a little bit harder than I'm planning on doing. But I don't feel comfortable really doing that with what it's got in it right now. So as long as everything holds together in 2026, then we'll really see what it'll do. But I'm kind of blower limited right now.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Brandon's last comment, and we'll leave this stream alone and get at you guys in a couple of weeks. So we'll be off next week. I'm taking old Mo to Illinois. He's getting overhauled. So good luck to everybody out there racing at Extreme Raceway Park. And I won't get a chance to be there, but good luck. Brandon says that Gage does need a chance. He says being able to drive both comes down to the opportunities given. Gage needs the opportunity to drive a dragster if he wants it. And I'm going to say that I promise you, if Gage Birch wants to jump in a dragster, it'd be in one tomorrow. That's all I got.
Yeah, because
there's not a person on this planet that is any type of knowing about big money, in the know about big money bracket racing on the lower scale. I don't care where you bracket race. The name Gage Birch, if he walked up and said, hey, let me drive that car, you're probably going to move out the way. That's just how I feel.
All he's really got to do is just get on his phone and call Overkill. I mean, he's probably got 3 or 4 of them.
He probably don't have to even call. Mitch probably standing right there with him. You know what I mean? Hey, that would be neat, though. Because Donovan and Gage, I think they're either best friends or real close on the same team. Something. Just switch. Put Donovan in a door car, put Gage in a dragster. Somebody do it. I want to see it.
But I can tell you this, ultimately, whichever one of those guys, if they're going to the spring fling, which they will be, then they're going to win the race, and they don't care what you guys think or what we think or anybody thinks. They're going to win the race, and if they don't care if they win it in a door car or the dragster, they care they got the check.
Yeah, I'm with it. I'm with them. Just saying, hey, I'm right there with you. But for the conversational piece, I want to see vice versa, man. Thanks for joining us, guys. And like I said, we won't be here next Tuesday. It'll be the Tuesday after that. But continue to like and subscribe and share. And we'll see you guys next time with another episode of Going Bracket Racing. Peace out.